Good Shabbos, everyone. Welcome to Congregation Beit Tikva. We're happy to have you with us for Shabbat evening. Hope you're ready to sing and lift up your voices with our Cantor Ephraim, Herrera. We're going to begin this Shabbat evening service with a beautiful melody, Yedid Nefesh. And this particular set of verses you'll find on page 636 in our prayer books. Let's sing together another traditional Shabbos melody, Yismechu HaShamayim, which means let us delight in the heavens, meaning we're giving thanks to God for this beautiful Sabbath evening. We're on page 650 in our Sidurim, page 650.
Yismechu HaShamayim, Yismechu HaShamayim, Yismechu HaShamayim, v'tagel haaretz. Yismechu HaShamayim, Yismechu HaShamayim, Yismechu HaShamayim, v'tagel haaretz. Yiram hayam, hey! Yiram hayam, hey! Yiram hayam u'meralo. Yiram hayam, hey! Yiram hayam, hey! Yiram hayam u'meralo. Yismechu HaShamayim, v'tagel haaretz. Yismechu HaShamayim, Yismechu HaShamayim, Yismechu HaShamayim, v'tagel haaretz. Yiram hayam, hey! Yiram hayam, hey! Yiram hayam u'meralo. Yiram hayam, hey! Yiram hayam, Yiram hayam u'meralo. Hey!
So we continue now with the blessing over the Shabbat Candles, and we'll read together in the middle of 121 before the blessing. O source of light and truth, creator of the eternal law of goodness, help us to find knowledge by which to live. Lead us to take the words we shall speak into our hearts and our lives. Bless all who enter this sanctuary in need, all who bring the offerings of their hearts. May our worship lead us to acts of kindness, peace, and love.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav, v'tziva lanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
A beautiful meditation on page 126. I begin with a prayer of gratitude for all that is holy in my life. God needs no words, no English or Hebrew, no semantics and no services, but I need them. Through prayer I can sense my inner strength, my inner purpose, my inner joy, my capacity to love. As I reach upward in prayer, I sense these qualities in my Creator. To love God is to love each other, to work to make our lives better. To love God is to love the world God created, and to work to perfect it. To love God is to love dreams of peace and joy that illumine all of us, and to bring that vision to life. Let's turn to the Shabbat Tehillim, the Psalms that welcome the Sabbath. We always begin with Psalm 95. We're on page 130.
Lechu neranena, lechu neranena, lechu neranena l'Adonai. Lechu neranena, lechu neranena, lechu neranena l'Adonai. Naria, naria, l'tzur yishenu, l'kavach onav v'todah.
Together in the English, come, let us sing joyously to Adonai. Raise a shout for our rock and deliverer. Let us come into God's presence with praise.
Let us raise a shout for God in song.
For Adonai is a great God, the great ruler of all divine beings. In God's hand are the depths of the earth. The peaks of the mountains are God's. God's is the sea, God made it, and the land which God's hands fashioned. Come, let us bow down and kneel, bend the knee before Adonai, our Maker, for Adonai is our God, and we are the people God tends, the flock in God's care. Oh, if you would but heed God's charge this day. So we turn to Psalm 29, which is the 6th Psalm, and it speaks of the sovereignty, the rulership of the divine. It has all of the metaphors about God sweeping across the world, God as creator of all strength, justice, natural phenomena, and also it echoes the idea that God is eternal, that the majesty of God is with us forever and ever. Cantor is going to chant a portion of this.
Mizmor leDavid, havu l'Adonai b'nelim, havu l'Adonai kavod va'oz, havu l'Adonai kevod shemo, ishtachavu l'Adonai b'hadrat kodesh, kol Adonai al hamayim, el hakavod hilim, Adonai al ma'im rabim, kol Adonai ba'koach, kol Adonai behadar, kol Adonai shover arazim, vayshaber Adonai et arzei halvanon, vayarkidem kemo egel, Levanon v'Sirion, כמו בן רמים. כל אדוני חוצף להבות אש, כל אדוני יחיל מדבר, יחיל אדוני מדבר קדש, כל אדוני יכול לעלות.
We continue singing together, Lecha Dodi. Excuse me. Lecha Dodi, come my beloved, to meet the bride, for my beloved shall greet Shabbat. So Israel and the mighty are coming together in a marriage on this Shabbat. Please turn to page 138. We're singing together verses 1, 2, the last verse, verse 9. If you're able, stand up and sing with us.
Shabbat nekabela, lecha dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela, lecha dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela, lecha dodi likrat kala.
Please join us now for the Chatzi Kaddish. We're on 144, and we will chant together with Cantor Ephraim.
יתקדל ויתקדש שמי רבה, בעלמא דברך חירותי וימליך מלכותי, בחייכון וביומכון ובחיי לכל בית ישראל, בעגלה ובזמן קריב יאמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מברך לעלם ולעלמי עלמיה יתברך, יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא, Vitadar, vitale, vitalal, Shemed Kodesha, Brichu, Leila min kol birchata v'shirata, Tushmechata v'nechemata, Da'amiram be'alma, V'imeru, Amen.
Together we chant the Baruch Hu on the next page.
Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach, Baruch Adonai HaMevorach, Leolam Vaed.
Together the first blessing before the Shema. We're in the middle of page 148. Blessed are you, Adonai our God, ruler of the universe, who speaks the evening into being, skillfully opens the gates, thoughtfully alters the time and changes the seasons, and arranges the stars in their heavenly courses according to plan. You are creator of day and night, rolling light away from darkness and darkness from light, transforming day into night and distinguishing one from the other. Adonai Tzebaot is your name. Ever-living God, may you reign continually over us into eternity. Blessed are you, Adonai, who brings on evening. Baruch atah Adonai, Amariv Aravim. The second blessing, Ahavat Olam, together in the middle of 150. First, before we do the English, our Cantor is going to chant a little bit of Ahavat Olam.
Ahavat Olam Beit Yisrael, Amecha Ahavta, Torah u'mitzvot, chukim u'mishpatim, otanu limadta. Al ken Adonai Eloheinu, b'shachbenu u'vkumenu, nasiach bechukecha, v'nismach b'divrei Toratecha, uv'mitzvotecha, le'olam vaed. Ki hem chayenu ve'orech yamenu, ve'orech yamenu, uvahem nege yomam v'layla, yomam v'layla.
Let's read this poetic rendition on page 151. As you taught Torah to those whose names I bear, teach me Torah too. Its mystery beckons, yet I struggle with its truth. You meant Torah for me, did you mean the struggle for me too? Don't let me struggle alone. Help me to understand, to be wise, to listen, to know. Lead me into the mystery. Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael. Together the Shema.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem Kavod, Malchuto Leolam Vaed.
So if you're standing, let's all be seated, be comfortable, and we'll continue with the beautiful words from Deuteronomy, chapter 6. We're reading the V'ahavta paragraph, top of page 154. V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha, v'chol levavecha, v'chol nafshecha, v'chol meodecha, v'hayu hadvarim ha'ela, asher anochi mitzavcha hayom al levavecha, v'shimantam levavecha, v'divarta bam, v'shishitecha b'beitecha, v'lechtecha b'derech, v'shachbecha v'kumecha, v'kshartam le'ot al yadecha, v'hayu letotafot bein einecha, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך. למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים, אני אדוני אלוהיכם. Amen. You shall love Adonai your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your might. Take to heart these instructions with which I charge you this day. Impress them upon your children. Recite them when you stay at home and when you are away, when you lie down and when you get up. Bind them as a sign on your hand, and let them serve as a symbol on your forehead. Inscribe them on the doorposts of your house and on your gates. Thus you shall remember to observe all my commandments and to be holy to your God. I am Adonai your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt to be your God. I am Adonai your God. Adonai Elohechem Emet. We continue with the words of Mi Chamocha. We're on 158. Let's turn the page. We're going to read together the Hashkivenu in the English. We're on page 160. Grant, O God, that we lie down in peace and raise us up our guardian to life renewed. Spread over us the shelter of your peace. Guide us with your good counsel for your name's sake. Be our help. Shield and shelter us beneath the shadow of your wings. Defend us against enemies, illness, war, famine, and sorrow. Distance us from wrongdoing. For you, God, watch over us and deliver us. For you, God, are gracious and merciful. Guard our going and our coming to life and peace evermore. Blessed are you, Adonai, guardian of Israel, whose shelter of peace is spread over us, over all your people Israel, and over Jerusalem. Baruch atah Adonai, hapores sukat shalom aleinu v'al kol amo Yisrael v'al Yerushalayim.
Amen.
Turn the page. We're singing on page 162. Maybe Shamru?
Yes.
Top of 162. We come now to the tefillah, the 7 basic blessings for the Shabbat evening service. We're on 164, and we'll begin, as we always do, with a verse from Psalm 51. So if you're comfortable and able, stand up and sing with us. We're singing together. We'll go to the first blessing, Magen Avraham Bezrat Sarah. We're on 166, and then we jump over to 168.
Adonai sepatai tiftach ufi yagi tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Elokeinu v'Elokeinu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor v'Hanora, Elyon, Gomer Chasadim Tovim, וקונה הכל, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה. מלך עוזר יושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם בעזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי הכל אתה רב להושיע. מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים. סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות, ומי דומה לך, מלך ממית ומחיה, ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה להחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני, מחיה הכל.
The third blessing in the middle of 170. You are holy, your name is holy, and those who are holy praise you every day. Blessed are you, Adonai, the holy God. Baruch atah Adonai, ha'el hakadosh. So you may all be seated and comfortable. And we're reading together top of 173. May these hours of rest and renewal open our hearts to joy and our minds to truth. May all who struggle find rest on this day. May all who suffer find solace. May all who hurt find healing on this day. May all who despair find purpose. May all who hunger find fulfillment on this day.
And may this day fulfill its promise.
Baruch atah Adonai, mekadesh ha-Shabbat. Blessed are you, O God, who creates holiness for the Shabbat. Together in the middle of 175. You are with us in our prayer, our love, and our doubt, in our longing to feel your presence and do your will. You are the still, clear voice within us. Therefore, O God, when doubt troubles us, when anxiety makes us tremble, when pain clouds the mind, we look inward for the answer to our prayers. There may we find you, and there find courage, insight, and endurance. And let our worship bring us closer to one another, that all Israel and all who seek you may find new strength for your service. Baruch atah Adonai, shalcha levavecha b'yirah na'avod.
Amen.
Blessing of Thanksgiving in the middle of 177, words from the psalmist. When we behold your heavens, the work of your fingers, the moon, and the stars that you set in place, what are we humans that you are mindful of us? We mortals that you take note of us. You made us little less than divine, adorned us with glory and majesty. You gave us dominion over your handiwork, laying the world at our feet. How majestic is your name throughout the earth. Baruch atah Adonai, atov shimcha, lecha na'eh lehodot. So we come to the final blessing, Shalom Rav, a prayer for peace. Let's all sing together. We're on page 178.
Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Ki ata hu melech adon lechol hashalom. Ki ata hu melech adon lechol hashalom. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. וטוב בעיניך לברך את עמך ישראל בכל עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. שלום רב על ישראל עמך תשים לעולם. שלום רב על ישראל עמך תשים לעולם. תשים לעולם. תשים לעולם.
Let's take a few moments for our own personal prayers.
May the words of my mouth and the meditations of my heart be acceptable to you. Be acceptable to you. Lord, my rock and my redeemer. Lord, my rock and redeemer. Amen.
So we pause for a moment to think about our friends, our congregants, our loved ones here and all across the country, to offer them blessings pray for them, for their strength, for their well-being, for their physical and spiritual uplifting. And we always sing together Mishaberach, which is a contemporary song, but it's based on the idea of the Refuah Shlema, the blessing for complete healing. So you'll find the words for this on page 371. Yes, page 371. First I want to remember some of our congregants in need of and wishing for all of them a very strong and speedy recovery. Our dear friend Wendy Dankoff, clarinetist, flutist, musician extraordinaire. Doreen Hertig, Mark Sanders, Arlene, Flo, and Jeff Vinnick, Lynn Kelly, our own Cantor Ephraim, Herrera, and there surely are others we're thinking of today for this Shabbat. Do you have any names?
My father, Eliodoro Herrera, my sister, Elisheva Herrera, and Lydia Martinez.
Thank you. So if you'll all turn to page 371, and in the middle of the page, you'll find the words Mishaberach Avotenu Mikor Habracha Li'imotenu. This Shabbat, we're in the middle of the book of Shemot, of Exodus, as you know. The parasha is called Titzadeh. The title of this portion comes from the three-letter verbal root, Tzadi Vav Hey, which means to command. This is the root of the word commandment, commandments. And of course, this form is a future tense, in case you're interested in grammar, future tense, second person, masculine form. So from this incredible verb, tzivah, we get all of the words concerning the idea of commandments. People often say, what's a commandment? What's a mitzvah? A good deed? It's more than a good deed. It's a commandment. It comes from God. God has given it to us. We didn't invent it. It comes from the divine. And then the portion goes into all the accoutrements, all of the details of the sanctuary, especially this beautiful clothing worn by the priests, by Aaron and his sons, as well as the curtains that separate the inner part of the Holy of Holies from the rest of the sanctuary. And then, of course, we have the discussion about the Ner Tamid. In our sanctuary, we have this beautiful Ner Tamid given to us years ago by Connie and Stuart Rosenberg in memory of their beloved daughter. I want to spend a few moments and talk to you about the meaning of the light, the continual light, the Ner Tamid. When I was rabbi in Galveston and when I was in Texas for many years, we often welcomed children from various classes from all the different churches in the community who would come over to visit our temple and wanted to find out what the Jews were doing and what happens in a sanctuary. So I would explain about the Torah scrolls, the Ark, the Ner Tamid, the altars, which we call today we call it just the Shulchan, but in the ancient world it was the altar, it was the Mizbeach, upon which sacrifices were made. And I explained all some of the ideas, the symbolic ideas behind this, and I explained that we needed a Ner Tamid because it says in Exodus, "You shall command the people of Israel that they shall bring pure olive oil, beaten for a light, to cause a lamp to burn continually." To cause a lamp to continually burn. So in those days, back in the old days, folks wrote thank you notes. I don't know if you ever get a handwritten thank you note these days, but I remember from 5th and 6th graders, they wrote a whole batch of thank you notes to us, appreciating the visit to Temple B'nai Israel. And one of the kids wrote, "I especially liked your explanation of the internal light." So that child had stumbled upon a profound insight that all of us possess an internal light. Maybe it's the most important human endowment that we are given. The internal light, if you think about it, has been variously described. George Washington said it this way: "Labor hard to keep alive in your breast that little spark of celestial fire called conscience." Lord Byron, the great poet, explained it this way: "Whatever creed be taught or land be trod, man's conscience is the oracle of God." In the book of Proverbs, the internal light is described this way: "The spirit of a person, of a soul, is God's candle." It is that built-in candle which is our most distinctive quality. That built-in quality helps us distinguish between right and wrong, between compassion and cruelty, between what is true and what is false. It's part of our unique capacity to think through human behavior. Maimonides put it this way: "What restrains beasts from doing harm is external." In other words, you put a bridle into a horse's mouth or a bit, but man's restraints lie within ourselves. That internal light gives us more than just the ability to make moral distinctions. It reminds us that each of us is special. Each of us is unique. No two persons are alike. We may look similar to our siblings. We may have identical twins. We may even think we look like a Hollywood star. But each of us has an internal light, a special quality, which is totally different from any other human being. That special quality is what illuminates our personality. It affects every aspect of our behavior. Our ability to learn, our ability to choose a career, our ability to choose a companion, a mate, a husband or a wife, a loved one, our ability to go into a profession and make a success of that. All of that is based on our sense of self-esteem, which I believe is also embedded in that sense of an internal light within ourselves. So it's a way of saying, if I may put it another way, it's our internal environment. But we didn't create it, right? We didn't come out of the womb and somebody turned on the switch. The switch was already there. In the Midrash it says, God formed us complete and whole. We learned all of the Torah when we were in vitro, in the fetus of our mothers. And when we come out and we emerge into the world, actually, there's a tap on our forehead and we lose all of that knowledge that we had in the 9 months of gestation. And what's the purpose of being a human being? We have to spend the rest of our lives learning it all over again. We have to learn all of the Torah and all of that light, all of those future sources of knowledge which will help us be a successful person. That's what we're doing as we grow. Abraham Lincoln spoke about this in his own way. And I'm talking about this on this Shabbat because we're coming up to the anniversary of President Lincoln's birthday, he wrote, "I desire so to conduct the affairs of this administration that if at the end, when I come to lay down the reins of power, I have lost every friend on this earth, I shall at least have one friend left, and that friend resides deep within me." So think about that light when you think about your own world, your own purpose in this world, what good things you and I do in this world every single day. Let me leave you with this aphorism. You know the famous sculptor Jacques Lipschitz. If you go to Jerusalem, to that fantastic sculpture garden outside of the Israeli Museum, there's some incredible sculptures by Lipschitz. And he was a friend and a mentor to many other artists in Europe. And one day, a sculptor, a friend of his, came and told him he was very unhappy with the light that was in his home in Paris, that the light just didn't work for him, so he couldn't really paint the way he wanted to paint. And so he says to Lipschitz, "I went to Morocco in search of a change of light, but to no avail." And Lipschitz looked at the painter and said, "An artist's light comes not from without, it comes from within." Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Thank you, Rabbi.
So we have, we're hoping to come back into the sanctuary very soon. I hope you will enjoy this beautiful service with our Cantor on YouTube. We'll let you know when we're ready to pray together in the sanctuary, what's coming up for this week. We have Torah study for Shabbat morning, tomorrow morning, and no special events coming this week. At the last Sunday of this month of February, we're going to be in the sanctuary. We're having a fantastic klezmer concert. Please join us. It's going to be 3 o'clock, I believe 3 o'clock in the afternoon. That's February 27th, if I'm correct. You will absolutely love the music. The Duke City Herrera, the best klezmer group in New Mexico. We're in the month of Adar. Adar means smile, be joyous, because we're getting ready for Purim. Purim will come to us in the middle of March. So remember to put a smile on your face for the month of Adar. And I hope everyone received the temple newsletter, our Beit Tikva newsletter. If not, please call, let us know, we'll get you a copy. You can always find us on beitikvasantafe.org, www.beitikvasantafe.org. Thank you for being with us. Thank you, Cantor Ephraim. Thank you, Mary, for recording this service. We look forward to having Wendy and Alma back with us soon for the next Shabbat. Our closing prayers begin on page 586. 586, please rise and we'll sing the Aleinu.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים, לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד.
thinking of our loved ones and come to record the yard sites to be observed on the Sabbath, let's read a meditation first before we come to the yard sites. On page 594. It is a fearful thing to love what death can touch. A fearful thing to love, hope, dream to be, and hope to lose. A thing for fools this, and a holy thing to love. For your life has lived in me, your laugh once lifted me, your word was gift to me. To remember this brings a painful joy, 'tis a human thing, love, a holy thing to love what death has touched. On this Shabbat, we recall those whose lives have been a blessing to us during this period of Shloshim, 30 days. We remember our congregant, Judith Kingsley. May her memory be for a blessing for all of us. Yes. And on this, the yard site memorial with love and devotion, we now recall Maurice Dankoff, father of Wendy, Martha Almira Freeman Fry, mother of Jonathan Fry, Saul Gelfand, uncle of Barb Lamont, Ethel Chesick Gold, mother of Gail Rappaport, Ray Hertig, mother of Doreen Hertig, Dora Jones Fountain Johnson, mother of Clark Fountain, Emmanuel Klinghoffer, father of Fred Klinghoffer, William Earl Stamford, father of Jolene Keir, Mortimer Weiss, father of Linda Kroll, and we also remember Josh Turetsky, son of Susan and Maurice Turetsky. Please turn with me to page 598 and we'll say the Kaddish together. Yikadal v'yikadash shmei Rabbah, v'almad yivarach chirutei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayechon yom yechon, uv'chayei v'chol Beit Yisrael, b'agala b'zman kariv v'imru, amen. Yehi shmei Rabbah mevarach le'olam mei amaya, יתברך וישתבח, ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא, יתהדר ויתהלל ויתהלל, שמי לקודשה בריחו, לילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, דאמירן בעלמא ואמרו אמן. יהי שלום רבה מן שמיה, וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל, ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל, ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל, ואמרו אמן. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. Kiddush is the words for the Kiddush are on page 123. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, בורא פרי הגפן. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, אשר קידשנו במצוותיו ורצה בנו, ושבת קודשו באהבה ורצון הנחילנו, זיכרון למעשה בראשית. כי הוא יום תחילה למקרא קודש, זכר לציאת מצרים. כי בנו בחרת, ואותנו קידשת מכל העמים, ושבת קודשך
באהבה וברצון הנחלתנו, ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש השבת. אמן. לחיים טובים, שבת שלום.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Thank you for being with us.